بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. من يهدي الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My dear children, today inshallah we're going to continue Surat AlBayana from the ayah 6 till the end of the surah. Just to remind ourselves about what we mentioned last time about Al-Bayyina, Surat Al-Bayyina. Al-Bayyina we mentioned in English it is meaning the evidence. Al-Bayyina means the evidence, and we mentioned that the first ayah was talking about that the disbelievers from Ahl al-Kitab, and we mentioned Ahl al-Kitab, the people of the book, were meant by them the Jews and the Christians, and al-Mushrikeen, the idolaters, or who are worshipping any god except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are worshipping other gods. Those are the Mushrikeen, or the polytheists or the idolaters. They will not leave this their life منفكين, يعني not leaving their life until the evidence come to them حتى تأتيهم البينة. And then ayah 2 explained to us who is al-Bayyina. Al-Bayyina, or the evidence, is al-Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, Prophet Muhammad sent by Allah, Rasulun min Allah, yatlu, reciting the purified pages, Suhuf al-Mutahara, and we mentioned it is the Quran. And these purified pages, there is a precious writing mentioned in these pages, or correct writings in rulings and laws, or it is straight words from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with no mistake. وَمَا تَفَرَّقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ, and those people from the book divided and differed among themselves happened after the evidence came to them. The evidence, we mentioned the presence of the Prophet ﷺ, and this we mentioned before, that they used to know that there will be a final messenger will come, and they know the descriptions and how he looks like, everything about Prophet Muhammad. But they were thinking that he will come from them as Banu Israel. But when they discovered that Prophet Muhammad came from the Arab, they started, because of their jealousy and because of their envy, they started to deny this message. And in Ayah 5 we mentioned that وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. They just been ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to worship him, sincere to him in religion, and inclining, we mentioned hunafa, inclining to the truth. وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, perform their prayers and give the zakah, and this is the correct religion. So this is a summary of what we mentioned last time. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about those people, Ahl al-Kitab, the disbelievers from the Christians and Jews, the people of the book, wal-Mushrikeen, and the polytheists or the idolaters, what will happen to them as what their punishment in Ayah 6, after being refused and denied the message of the Prophet ﷺ, what Allah will do with them, he will punish them. So this is mentioned in Ayah 6. Inna alladhina kafaru, indeed the disbelievers from the people of the book, Ahl al-Kitab, and al-Mushrikeen, and the polytheists, or those who are idolaters. Okay. What will happen to them? في نار جهنم, in the hellfire. والعياذ بالله. They will be in the hellfire. خالدين فيها, everlasting. They will stay forever, everlasting in it. So في نار جهنم خالدين فيها, everlasting in it. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also described them, وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ شَرُّ الْبَرِيَّةِ, which means those are the worst. Look at that, the worst of creatures. Al-Bariyah means creatures. So Allah is describing those disbelievers, they are the worst of creatures. Who can tell me why? Why those people, the disbelievers, are the worst of the creatures? Who knows? Yes, yeah, Aya.
Because they don't believe in Allah.
Yes, because actually, when you see the creations that Allah created, the Quran mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored the mankind, all the mankind being honored by the يعني decision, to the free decision, how to they have the decision to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they have the mind, their mind, and they are able to think, and they are able to know right from wrong. So with all the evidence, those people, the disbeliever, saw evidence from the Sunnah, evidence from the Quran, evidence of all the creations Allah created for them, this earth, the heaven, the mountains, everything Allah created. Despite all these things, they disbelieved. So we can say that the animals are better than them, because actually Allah created the animals, and they know exactly their mission in this life, and they do this mission according what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them or inspired them to do. Plants, animals, even the insects, even like for example the bee. You see the bee, how much it is very active in doing, and all the honey and other useful things we are having from the bees, and also from the ants, how the ants are doing their job and their community, they live in their community in a very disciplined way. So every other creatures that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired to them to go, how to go and how to know their mission in this life, they did it perfectly. But actually, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the human being or the mankind to come to discover that, to come to Allah with love, to come to Allah and believe in Allah with their own will. Those people who discovered and who has all this freedom, and despite of all the evidence in front of them, still they are insisting on disbelieving in Allah, so they consider to be the worst of creatures, because actually they became disgrateful. They are ungrateful to the favors of Allah to them, ungrateful to the honor that Allah honored them to have this free decision making and to choose between right and wrong. And despite of all this honor, they chose the wrong. That's why they became the worst of creatures. Okay, easy for us? So those are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing for us the people, the disbeliever, that they are the worst of the creatures. But let us see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing the believers. Here, on the contrary, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing the believers that indeed those who believed, or the believers, and performed the good deeds, what will happen to them, or what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing them. And here, very important point to take care about, that Allah is describing the people who believed and did the good deeds or performed the good deeds, not only believe. You have to believe and also to do the good deeds according to what came in the Sunnah. So the belief and the deeds following the Prophet ﷺ. Those who will do that, so they are the best. Those are the best of creations. You can see that this is very important, and actually another honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving to the believers, that they make them the best of the creatures. You can imagine this, how much Allah is honoring those believers and doing the good deeds. When Allah is saying about them, they are the best of the creatures. So, meaning that they could be the best, they are better than whom? Better than angels? Yeah, they could be better than angels. Look, the angels, what they are doing, the angels, they are not doing anything except remembrance of Allah, obeying Allah order. They are not doing any type of sins because they are angels. They just carry on the orders of Allah. So you can be better than the angel. This is what the ayah is saying. If you are believing truly in Allah and doing what Allah ordered and abstain from what Allah forbid, you can be better than angels. Why you can be better than angels? Who can tell me? Why, if you became believer, good believer, obeying Allah, you are better than angels? Why? Alia.
Because because you can believe in Allah and do still do more good deeds.
Okay, but the angels also believing in Allah and they are doing all what Allah ordered them, and they are not doing sins anyway. So why the believers will be better than them? Who knows? Who knows? Anyone? No? Okay. Very simply, because mankind, or the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, the people that they have tendency to do good things and tendency to do bad things. What the believers did, that they prevented themselves from doing sins. And if they did these things, they quickly repent and ask forgiveness of Allah. So this is the better. Allah honored them because they can do the bad things and they can go on for the sins, but they choose to abstain and to be away from the bad sins because they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They want to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for the angels, they didn't have any desires, or they don't have any desires. What all the desires they have is just to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can't do sins, actually. They can't go for the sins. They cannot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them from light, and the way they created, they cannot do sins. So when you have which is the better, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that the believers who has the tendency or can do sins, but they choose not to do it for the sake of Allah, if they continue for that and they die like that, they will be in a better place than the angels. Okay? Understood? Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling what will be the reward. What will be the reward for those believers who choose to be obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is in Ayah 8. Allah is mentioning in Ayah 8, جَزَاؤُهُمْ means their reward, with their Lord, عند ربهم, with their Lord. So جزاؤهم عند ربهم. What will be جنات عدن? What is meaning of جنات عدن? Anyone knows? جنات عدن. Yes, Alia.
Paradise.
Jannat is gardens, and عدن, what is عدن means? Anyone knows what عدن means? Jannatu is the gardens, and they are all in the paradise. But we want just to take it word by word. So, عدن is, yes, ya Maram.
Eternal?
Yes, it is not eternal. We can say that Jannatu Adnan is permanent residence. So it is gardens of permanent, sorry, permanent residence. So it is all, the residency will be eternally, will be all the time. Permanent resident. Okay, this is the gardens of permanent residence. تجري من تحتها الأنهار, flowing, this jannat or this garden flowing underneath it, rivers. The rivers is flowing underneath it. So this is the description of the reward that will be for those people or for the believers. When we speak about rivers, which is al-anhar, you know how many types of rivers in Jannah? Mentioned in the Quran, of course. How many rivers? Anyone knows? Actually, it is 4 types of rivers, just to know. What mentioned in Jannah is 4 types of rivers. Rivers of water, rivers of milk, rivers of wine, and river of honey. These are the 4 types of rivers, and of course there are a lot, but this is from the rivers mentioned in the Quran. So what will happen to them? They will be in these gardens, eternally present in it, in these gardens, and the rivers flowing underneath them. And then خالدين فيها will be abide in it forever. خالدين فيها, stay forever in it. Stay forever in it. So when we say about staying forever, wouldn't be something you think about that you may feel bored or you are having a boring, or can we feel that in Jannah, that we are feel bored or not? Who can tell me? Yes, Aya.
You won't be bored.
Yes, shall we be bored, feeling of boring if we stay forever or not?
You won't.
You know boring, what meaning of boring? Boring means that you got used to these favors of Allah and you are not feeling happy. Shall we be not feeling happy in Jannah if we stay forever? Right or wrong? Anyone knows? So what I want to say that we will stay, inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, I ask Allah to make us from those believers, we'll stay forever, but without feeling that we are bored or getting or get use of the favors, get use of the rewards, because every day we'll have new rewards. Every day we'll have new thing to do. We'll never get bored in the Jannah. So how we know that? From the continuation of the ayah that Allah is saying radiyallahu anhum, that here Allah pleased with them. Allah pleased with those, Allah pleased with the believers. And how Allah pleased with them. What are the signs that Allah pleased with them? Allah gave them a lot of reward, and the most beautiful reward they will give them, that let them see Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is from the Allah pleased with them by letting them see Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of us, inshallah, bismillah, will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jannah. Because here in life, we'll never see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll just make dua for Him, feel His presence in everything, in every creations, in responding to our dua. So we feel His presence, subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we'll never see Him in this life. But when we're going to see Him in Jannah, going to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jannah. So radiyallahu anhum, Allah pleased with them by letting them see Him. وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ, and they are pleased. And they are pleased with Him. Pleased with Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. How to be pleased with Him? That they are very happy of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them. So the condition of Him is being pleased with them is with the everlasting delights that they will be given, and they will be pleased with Him due to the comprehensive favors He has given them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with them by letting them see Him, as mentioned in other taban, in addition to other rewards. And they will be pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by His favors to them and by letting them see Him. ذَلِكَ, here ذَلِكَ means that pleasure. ذَلِكَ means that in Arabic. ذَلِكَ means in English that. But here that stands for what? This pleasure. The pleasure. The pleasure of Allah and the pleasure of the believers will happen to whom? For whom he fear Allah. ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ خَشِيَ رَبَّهُ. يبقى that pleasure of Allah will happen for who will fear Allah. Who will fear Allah means that who will worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the reward that will be attained by those who revere Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fear Him as He deserves to be feared. This is the person who worship Allah as if he sees Him, and he knows that even though he doesn't see Him, indeed Allah sees him. So this is when we say those who will fear Allah, means that who will feel, as we mentioned, feel the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You feel the presence of Allah with you all the time. When you feel the presence of Allah with you all the time, even if you are not seeing Him, but He is seeing you, and this is the definition of ihsan, as came in the hadith by the Prophet ﷺ, that how to be muhsin, or have to have this daraja or this degree of ihsan, that you worship Allah as if you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if you are not actually seeing Allah, but remember all the time, remember that Allah is seeing you. And by that, we came to the end of this surah. Before finishing, we'll go through the lessons we learn from this surah. Now we'll start with the first lesson. Who can tell me? Lessons we learn from this surah. Alia.
we're capable of being better than the angels.
Excellent, excellent. This is, we can learn from the surah that if you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be more clear, if you believe in Allah and make good deeds following the Prophet, so not any good deeds. The good deeds must following the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. So what will happen to you? You will be better than angels. Excellent, Alia, mashallah. Better than angels. This is the first lesson. Who can tell me number 2? Number 2, who can tell me lessons from the surah? Huh? Anyone can say? Khadija, don't you say? What is the lesson? Can you tell us another lesson?
I learned that you have to fear Allah so you can enter Jannah and be rewarded.
Excellent. Worship Allah as if you see Him. This is very important, to feel that Allah is seeing you all the time. So this feeling will make you all the time do the good things, and even if you did bad things or sins, you will be repent to Allah again quickly. Excellent, yeah, Khadija. Who else can tell us one more lesson from this surah? Yes, Maram, can you tell us anything?
The disbelievers are the worst of creatures.
Excellent, excellent. The disbelievers is considered to be the worst creatures. Excellent. And of course we mentioned why, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored them, and despite Allah honored them, they stayed on their kufr and on their disbelieving. Excellent. Number 4, can anyone add number 4? Ali, assalamu alaikum ya Ali. Oh, Ali is not with us. Okay. So Aya, can you add something for us, Aya?
If you are like a polytheist and you don't believe Allah, you will go to hellfire for forever.
Yeah, excellent. So that we can say it is the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the disbeliever will stay justice of Allah, that disbelievers will stay forever in hellfire, and at the same time, and the believers will stay forever and the believer will stay forever in Jannah. And this is the justice, absolute justice of Allah, as Allah will not transgress anyone. This believer, He gave them all the evidence, He gave them the mind to think about, He honored them, and despite that they choose to the wrong way and choose to be ungrateful for Allah's favors. with the يعني bounty of Allah سبحانه وتعالى. All the praise to Allah. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. We finished سورة البينة. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. سبحانك